This is big as we have multiple Celtics updates on Jaylen Brown being put on the injury report for tonight's contest, plus an opposing coach's comments that will leave you shocked, and why the Celtics are being labeled the most complete team in the NBA and rising in media polls everywhere, even without their best player. We break it all down for you here today on Celtics Digest. Welcome, everybody. Hope you're having a wonderful start to your Tuesday, wherever you might be. Before we get going on today's show, we are closing in on a big milestone here on Celtics Digest, as we are just 270 subscribers away from that elusive 10,000 subscriber mark. There are only so many Digest channels that have hit 10,000. We would like to be the next one to do so. And if you're looking for daily Celtics content, it's 100% free to do so. And to add on to it, hey, if you're watching us on Facebook right now, make sure you give us a follow on there as well. The Boston Celtics will take on the Phoenix Suns tonight in their second game returning since the All-Star break. It'll be the first game of a back-to-back in which they'll take on the Suns tonight and the Denver Nuggets tomorrow. Almost misspoke there. So exciting to see both those things. This is all coming off a Celtics win versus the Los Angeles Lakers. That was very, very good. 111-89. We know what happened in that game with Peyton Pritchard and JB just going off. And, of course, that was a very good thing to see. And Jaylen Brown had another fantastic game, leading the entire contest with 32 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists in 36 minutes of floor time. Would have liked for a higher field goal percentage, but, it is what it is. Would like him to turn the ball over less. It is what it is, and ultimately, we have that. However, in that Los Angeles Lakers game, Jaylen Brown did suffer a knee injury, and with that knee injury, we have the injury report for, again, this was tweeted out yesterday evening, so we'll know the official statement today, but he is questionable. Brown is questionable again for tonight's contest versus the Suns with a right knee contusion. There has been times where the Celtics have had back-to-backs in the past, and there has not been a single one of those times where Jaylen Brown has been rested for just keeping his body intact. So for anybody trying to kind of make this out as, this is just trying to get him a rest day, I don't think that's it. I think that there is, I'm not going to say concern surrounding his knee, but definitely, doing their due diligence to make sure they report each and every injury. So fingers crossed that Jaylen Brown can be able to play this evening. If not, I wouldn't necessarily hate it, just because if you had to, tell me, okay, Jaylen Brown can play one of the next two games, the Phoenix Suns, the Denver Nuggets, 10 times out of 10, I'm saying, okay, rest him tonight, let him play versus the Denver Nuggets, and we're going to be all good in that facet. Jaylen Brown has been such a huge piece of this team in the 2025-26 NBA season, and in my opinion, he should be atop the MVP race. I know there's discussions about Cade Cunningham and Wembanyama. Well, I guess not Wembanyama. He's been injured too long, but certain guys that are above Jaylen Brown, I just don't think that's fair. I do think he is one of the best players in the NBA right now, and I'd argue he is playing at a most valuable player ranking. I think that is the biggest thing to me. I use the MVP in a lot of different ways, and it's through every different sport, as the most valuable player to their team. And to me, Jaylen Brown has been the most valuable player to any team amongst the National Basketball Association. And with that, JJ Reddick also had some similar comments behind it. He had this to say on Jaylen Brown after their loss versus the Celtics, saying, "I don't think anybody should be surprised at how good of a season Jaylen Brown and Peyton Pritchard are having. Jaylen, in particular, Conference Finals MVP, so much to carry as the number one guy each night. He's just improved so much year to year. It's remarkable." And this, of course, caused for an interesting debate among social media members. There was a lot of discourse talking about Jaylen Brown not being able to be a number one guy. Obviously, he has put those haters to bed, but he has improved this year. And we know that when there is two number ones, it can kind of create for an interesting situation. But if Brown has been the number one all year and you return Tatum, how does that kind of work out? A lot of people are kind of saying that it might actually make for the first two number one team that we've seen in a very long time, where both these guys can go for 30-plus points a night just because the shots are there for the Celtics with the way they're playing. Reddick continued on, actually, about Brown. In fact, he said, quote, I was watching personnel tape yesterday, and I went on our internal site and was looking at his drive numbers going left versus right. Everyone says he can't go left, and there are just no holes in his game. It's a fair statement. There have been multiple criticisms of Jaylen Brown, and they continue to try and take him down and try and say that he's not this number one that he is. He's not going to be able to do this. He's not going to be able to do that. At the end of the day, Brown has shut up every single hater. I think that there is still people trying to take him down, saying he can't do this, he can't do that. When are we going to accept? When are people going to accept that he is legitimately one of the best players in the NBA? Like, Jayson Tatum, yes, may be better than Jaylen Brown. And that has, I think, shadowed him for obviously the past 6 years, 7 years. But at that same time, I think we have to appreciate what JB has been able to do this year, what he has kind of come into as a player, obviously taken on in this role, and he continues to put up the numbers each and every single night. So, there's a lot of pressure saying, hey, your best player is off the team, not going to be able to play this year. In theory, you got to take over it, and he's taken that role and done it very, very well. Jaylen also talked about his role after his Lakers performance, saying, quote, "I play both ends of the court night to night. I'm available, which is hard to do. I'm a leader. I help lead my team, empower my team to come out and play confidently. Stuff that doesn't always show up on the analytics. And I'm a winner. I come out and try to win every single night." The confidence is there with Jaylen Brown, and I think that is a very good thing. And I'm not going to say it was something that was inhibiting him, but for him to kind of be able to prove himself as the number one guy, as being able to be a number one guy, it really has empowered him. And one thing he did say, "I'm available," which is hard to do. Well, that goes back to our injury report where he is questionable. If you ask Jaylen Brown, he's going to want to play tonight. I don't know if Joe Mazzulla is going to let him, just strictly based on, again, you have the Denver Nuggets coming up tomorrow, and that is a much higher stake game, a much bigger game, and a much better team, simply put as that. So you're not trying to risk that. You're also going into a stretch where you're having 3 games in 4 days, as you'll have the Brooklyn Nets back in Boston this upcoming Friday, before they'll get another day's break on Sunday, before another back-to-back on Sunday and Monday. So lots of games happening here as we kind of start to wind down on the season, if you can believe it. Speaking of winding down on the season, there, of course, are becoming more and more NBA power rankings being released every single time as we get closer to the playoffs. And Brett Siegel of Clutch Points jumped the Celtics back up into the top 5. They have been as high as number 2. They have been as low as number 11 to 12. Now they're 4th. And he says this: "Now back inside the top 5 of the NBA power rankings, the Celtics continue to pick up statement wins after statement wins. Boston's only loss since January 30th was to the Knicks at home before the All-Star break. And the Celtics just continue to show why they are the, I think, most complete team in the NBA. I really do. And the fact of the matter is that Jayson Tatum is looming in the shadows at all time. And he's right. That Knicks loss is the only one we have since the start of February. And while that Knicks loss isn't great, it's one loss, and it's a tough one. But now you're looking at these rest of the games. Okay, Suns, that's a winnable game. Nuggets, it's a good team, but winnable game. Nets, Sixers, Bucks, Hornets, Mavericks. I mean, there's a very real possibility where you go into March losing maybe 2 games in February, maybe. And that's a huge thing to kind of look at as you go down the stretch. The questions are there for the Celtics to try and figure out how they can jump above the Detroit Pistons in the Eastern Conference right now, being 5 games back. They have some slots to go out there and do that. The Pistons' strength of schedule is a little bit higher than the Celtics. They'll have some matchups to kind of get themselves in a good position, but we'll have to wait and see how it ends up. That is all we have for you, though, today on the show. We do appreciate you watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace out.